Hey everyone, Rushlock here, and as always, for the latest news, tips, and tricks for EVE Online, hit that subscribe button down below. And if this video is of interest to you, make sure to hit the like button and leave us a comment letting us know so. Alright, so CCP has done some layoffs this year. We just found out about them today. MMORPG.com reports an article posted by Joseph Bradford. The link for this article will be in the description down below the video. CCP Games lays off 13 employees as part of restructure across the studios. Now, there's also going to be a part of here where we find out there's some inaccuracies in the report, and we'll get to those as we approach them. CCP Games, developer of EVE Online, has laid off 13 employees across Reykjavik and London studios as part of what the developer calls a restructure across its development, publishing, and operation teams. So, accurate or not, this is, typical corporate speak, right? It's realignments and restructuring and stuff like that. CCP Games was hit with layoffs this year as the developer had what is called a quote-unquote realignment in its development plans, which led to the layoffs across the two studios. We first caught wind of this might be happening thanks to a social media post made by now former employee. From there, we were all able to independently verify that the studio was hit with layoffs this year, though not nearly as widespread as other studios have been in 2023 already. We reached out to CCP Games on Friday for clarification and confirmation. However, despite the layoffs, which were the result of redundancies at the positions following the realignment, CCP's communications director, George Kellyan, states that the team also identified and opened up new roles for hire in the process. CCP Games also confirmed that those affected would be given assistance and outreach to industry recruiters as part of the process. Via a statement by George Kellyan, communications director at CCP Games, provided to us this morning. Due to the realignment in our development plans leading to the restructure across development, publishing, and operations, we have made the tough decision to make a small number of redundancies, 7 at our Reykjavik and studios and 6 at our London studio, while also identifying and opening new roles for hire. This decision was not taken lightly, and we are providing those affected with outplacement support and guidance, including paid private coaching and outreach to recruitment contacts. The layoffs come as CCP Games gears up to celebrate 20 years of EVE Online this year. The developer has big plans for one of the best sci-fi MMOs out right now, including the recently released direct enlistment feature that allows any player, regardless of corporation affiliation, to enlist in one of the 4 NPC empires as part of the newly reinvigorated factional warfare. Now, this is strange because it's completely inaccurate. Direct enlistment feature that allows any player out right now, including the recently released. It was not released. And I thought this was strange. I thought, looking like, did it come out and I missed it? Like, how do we miss this? It's due out by the end of this month. I go here. It came out on the 2nd of the month. Or this is even dated, yeah, March 2nd. This is like 5 or 6 days ago. How did I miss this? I look down and we haven't, guys. It's on test server. All right, it's on Singularity. It's being tested. Now, it could be a simple oversight. Let's not make something out of nothing, as is, very easy to do on the internet. But we'll reach out to Joseph Bradford here, let them know there's a bit of an error there, and see what they feel about it. CCP Games is also calling on players to be part of a commemorative mosaic that will be unveiled in May. See an update for this article. We've clarified this report as its initial reporting made it seem it was just EVE Online team that was affected by the layoffs. The London studio is working on the multiplayer shooter as was teased during last year's FanFest. Now, people are going to want to know the details, like, alright, so 13 jobs get axed. They claim new jobs have been created. If it were a comparable number, they would have been proud of it and boasted more specifically about that. So it's a pretty safe assumption to see that 13 people were laid off, and probably, less than half of that, or at most, maybe most half of that, new positions were open for it. Whenever I see the terms, redundancies being mentioned, let's see if I can find that again. Yeah, here. Redundancies are mentioned there. Redundancies are mentioned here. Typically, that tells me that tasks of those laid off are going to be laid on the desks of others. They're going to be expected to pick up those tasks, and that the new job hires will either take some, but not all of those back, as well as doing new jobs in general. It's not really a net gain if you're working there, typically, more often than not. Maybe this is the outlier, maybe this is the exception to the rule. Whenever you see things about realignment, restructuring, and redundancies, it's usually a bunch of corporate BS to just smooth over a crappier situation. No one's going to be hyped to hear CCP laying off positions in neither EVE Online studio nor their upcoming first-person shooter that isn't yet to release. So it's entirely possible that in a development project, as you enter different phases of development, you no longer need certain positions, right? That's the entirely feasible situation. They haven't chosen to communicate that at all. So, what are the details of these redundancies? Where is the workload going to where they probably weren't redundancies before, but they're going to be redundancies now as they're expecting someone else or other people to do work that was previously done by other people. Oh, look, now we no longer need you, because we have someone else doing the job that you were doing before. We were speaking about this in Twitch chat today, and somebody pointed out with a software development background that there are even scenarios where you can end up having 2 or 3 people wasting a significant chunk of their time fixing the mistake of others. Is there any reason to think that's the case here? No, not specifically, but just to add another perspective that sometimes you do have some dead weight sitting in a chair and things aren't getting done the way they need to do, and other people have to waste their time to fix it and clean it up. Again, no reason to think that specifically happened here, just, again, more food for thought, and keep in mind it isn't always a bloody axe in pandering to investors to increase or improve profit margins. But thought this was interesting. Again, we'll reach out to the author of the article, which is also linked down below the video, and we'll see if we can get a correction or at least a response about why they would state that this was recently released when obviously it wasn't. It's still in testing, and that testing has only been open for a few days, and according to CCP, that feature is due out by the end of the month. Now, it being on test server is a pretty good indicator that we'll see it by that timetable, and we'll see if that deadline is met. But that's the news today. Hope you enjoyed. If you can, hit the like button down below and leave us a comment with what you found interesting about this, and we'll see you in the next video.